Hey guys, Mike here from Bini Outdoors. Welcome to tournament practice video number 1. I decided this year for my tournament trail, I'm gonna start doing some videos showing you guys how I approach my practice and just my preparation for my tournaments that I'm running this year, the team tournament series that I'm running with Bear Fishing. What we're doing today is we're trying to actually do something that sounds a little bit backwards. We're at a body of water that I have a little bit of experience with. Not a ton, but a little bit. And we're actually trying to fish other baits. So I know how to catch fish at this body of water with a couple of baits, specifically jigs, and I've caught a few fish with a chatterbait. So what we're actually going to do today is we're not going to use those baits. We're going to do our best to not use any of those baits that I know work. We're going to try different colors, different techniques in different areas. Now, why would I do that? Well, when you fish a tournament, you have a few factors that are a little bit different than when you're fun fishing. For example, I have 2 shorelines that I know that there's usually fish on, but I'm going to be competing with 12 other people. So there's a good chance that when I get to that shoreline, there might be somebody already on that laydown. There might be somebody already on that bluff wall. So I need to find alternate areas to go to so that I'm not stuck fishing right behind them, or just have to skip it all together and, ad-lib from there. The other thing I really want to try to figure out on this body of water is a reaction or moving bait bite. I have never really been able to catch fish here using anything other than jigs. So I really want to try to see if I can figure out a lipless bite, a chatterbait bite, crankbait bite, something, certain color, whatever it is. I need to figure something else out so that if there isn't a bite on the shoreline, if there isn't the flipping pitching bite, we have an alternate option, because that's how you win a tournament, is having multiple options and being able to pivot when the bite does not happen. So that's what we're going to do today, guys. We're going to go break this lake down little by little. It's not a bad fish. Not a bad little bass. So guys, that was caught on a reaction tackle shaky head and a power bait worm. So that's not a bad little way to start out. It's not a monster fish, definitely not a tournament winner, but that tells me one style of bait. I've usually caught fish on wacky rigs and only jigs here. I really haven't used a shaky head a ton. But this right here, guys, I'll show you exactly the setup as soon as I get it out of my net here. So that right there was a black blue fleck with a blue tail shaky worm, shaky head. And that was, again, a reaction tackle tungsten with a green head. I don't remember the size. I'll have to put that down in the show notes, guys. But that was pretty quick. That didn't even really hit the water. It basically hit the water and that fish was on it almost immediately, casting up against the shoreline. Now I will say I have fished this shoreline and caught fish here before, so it's not like it's a new location, but it is a different style bait. So it's something that I'm trying to find different techniques, because yes, I know I can catch fish here with a wacky rig, but I want to know if a shaky head, if a jig, if a Ned rig, just these different styles, different colors, because when the guys start running through here, they're all going to stop and fish this too. So I want to be able to throw something that they haven't seen when I come in behind them, because sometimes throwing the same stuff all the time pretty much just results in not getting any fish, because they're just sick of looking at the same baits and the same style of baits. So being able to have multifaceted level of options really just helps to give me that chance to upsize my bite once I've got the full limit. Alright guys, number 2 on the shaky head. So that is a pattern now. I don't consider a bait a pattern until I get it twice. This fish not only hit it, but he actually chased it. So he hit it a couple of times. Again, not a monster, probably not even legal for the tournament, but that tells me that this combination works So that makes me happy because that's one bait that I can add to the list of potential baits that are going to work. So what we're actually going to do, and I know this sounds really contradictory because normally when you're fishing, you want to just kind of stick with what works. Well, what we're going to do is we're actually going to cut this off. And I have a bait box right here. And this is something that, it's stuff that I think might work, and it's a little trial thing. And we're going to consider that one a successful bait. I actually literally have a section in this box for baits that did work. So that one's a successful bait. Now, sticking with that same color pattern, but a little bit different bait, we're going to use a wobble head with this grub. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to see if I can change the size of the fish that do bite when I use it. So that right there was catching small fish. Now, I do know that, you know, every fish counts in a tournament, and I need to be able to get 5 to get my limit. But once I get a limit, I need to be able to upsize, and I don't want to just spend all day chasing the same size fish. And this body of water is pretty well known for having the same kind of what we call clones, which are basically all fish that are pretty identical and pretty much the same size. So you really need to work hard to figure out where those extra special, you know, little bit bigger bass are and what they're going to eat, because the clones will all eat the same stuff. And a lot of times a little type of change, some sort of difference will make the difference on whether or not you catch a big or you just keep catching the same exact fish over and over and over again. So we're going to change things up. We're going to use the wobble head, and we're going to try with this grub and see if that upsizes my bite. Okay, Ned rig works. Okay. Good to know. It's an interesting color choice too. That right there was on Power Ned with a Helgramite. I'm going to show you guys the color of it because it's kind of a different color. And smoked it, came out of the water, pretty fun. Get him back in. So that's another bait, Ned rig. With, I'll show you guys the bait. It's actually kind of a cool bait. It's a fresh bait Helgramite, but it's a pink color. It's not really it's kind of a pink clear, and it's definitely a color I would never have thought I would catch on. So it's something that I actually bought originally to use as like a trout bait, and it's actually working for bass. So I'm not so sure color matters. I'm starting to think that maybe it's just presenting the bait at the right time, but we are going to kind of continue experimenting with different colors, different baits, and see if it does upsize, or if in general it's just going to be hoping to catch one big one. Whoa. Put on a show, huh, buddy? All right. Black blue wacky rig. Fish number 3. That's actually really pretty cool because not only is it another bait on the list, but it's also a bait that I make. It's a black blue laminate. That's also on a reaction tackle head. It is a weighted tungsten weedless wacky head. But check that fish out, guys. Not a bad little fish. Right there, guys, was on another bait combination. This is a weedless wacky head from Reaction Tackle with a black blue laminate that I pour. And he hit that pretty hard. He actually picked it up and started swimming with it. So that's where the Hi-Vis line comes into play. I know I've talked about that in other videos, but one of the biggest benefits of having, especially on a calm day like today, you know, those fish are hitting it, but they're not hitting it super aggressively. They're just kind of picking the bait up and running with it. So having that Hi-Vis line, I saw that line kind of swim sideways. It was acting a little funky, so I picked up on it, and there was some weight there, and I took it home. So that right there is another bait in the list. So pretty much, I have determined now that this shoreline is really, really viable. That fish wasn't really any bigger than all the other ones, so we're gonna change things up, and we're gonna start working a new bait that I just got my hands on. This one right here, if you guys saw my recent unboxing, is my A-Bay lipless. I'm gonna get that out. We're gonna try doing some reaction style fishing and see if that upsizes the bite more than just doing the finesse or the, you know, bottom contact and plastic style. See if a moving bait makes a difference. Little midday check-in, guys. Kind of actually end of day check-in. I went around the whole lake. I'm back to where I started. And what I figured out was that there's going to be a few different bites at this body of water. There will be a little bit of a topwater bite. I think whopper ploppers, choppos if you're a Berkeley guy, and something like that, buzzbait might work. But I think that's going to be in the shallows, and it's going to be early. The other thing that I think is going to play here is going to be different colors of Texas rigging, different colors of jigs, but overall, it's not going to be what I wanted it to be. It's not going to be a reaction style fishing. I could not get any of it to fire. I threw just about everything and really just couldn't get anything to go. So that's okay. We just ruled that out. The other thing I did, which is important to do in a tournament, is I ruled out water. So I caught a lot of fish on the southernmost end of the lake. I did not catch a single fish or have a single bite on the northernmost end. So that cuts that lake in half. I'm not even gonna mess with the northern end. Two reasons. One, the northern end is super shallow and super thick grass, and I just don't want to deal with it. And that is a long travel to get all the way up there, and it's just precious time that'll be wasted during a tournament. So the good thing about it is I have now isolated half of the lake down for me and bear fishing to be able to pick apart. We may go deep, we may go shallow, but we're not going to go north, and that's a very, very good piece of information. The other pieces of detail I did pick out on is fish were held up on wood, they were held up on bluff walls, they were tight to the bank. A lot of the fish that I caught, I was casting right up on the bank. It was rolling off of the bank, and as soon as it fell off of that shallower portion and started to come down that ledge, those fish hit it. So that tells me that those fish are up on that bank, up shallow. They're not really in the super, super deep parts. So that right there is another piece of information. I did not, like I said, get the option to pick a different moving bait or different types of baits. I'm going to be very limited, honestly, in the scope of baits. But in a way, that's going to be beneficial because I've pared down the offering. I'll be able to pack accordingly. I'll actually be able to take some stuff out of the kayak and add some stuff in that might help upsize my bite. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's fun. I love catching fish on jigs. I love it so much. He's not any bigger, but it's still fun. Hell yeah. It's a nice little bass. Not a monster, guys. Little guy. But I give up. Alright guys, I have been out here for a long freaking time and I have not found what I wanted, and like I said in the midday check-in, we didn't get everything that we wanted, but I got enough information and I am extremely confident that we're going to be able to be competitive on this tournament on Sunday. So I'm going to end the video right here. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. I do want to say, if you have any interest in picking up some of the products that I used during this video, the shaky heads, the wacky rig, the line, All of it is reaction tackle stuff. I am pro staff for them. If you guys want to use the link down in the description, you'll save 15%. I'm going to try to detail all the products I'm using in the description so you guys know. But overall, it was a great day on the water. I have a lot more confidence, and I really do believe that we're going to be able to place in the money on our tournament on Sunday. I want to thank you guys again for coming along with me. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and as always, let's get out there and catch more fish.